Well, this is Ford Cam 1. I really gotta say something. It's just something happened to me. If you guys are ever gonna trade or buy a vehicle from a private owner, I said before that the air filters are one thing you really gotta look at, because sometimes people really do not change them things out. Another one I would say is dirty oil is one thing you'll look at. And, what happened to me was I had bad front suspension and it had bad control arms and a bad tie rod. And, it's like even the mechanic told me anytime you replace one side, do the same to the other side. So the way they wear evenly. But then tie rods, tie rod, and also ball joints range about $1,000 for all that. Time and labor is really expensive. But it's just the Mustang was not hard on gas, very easy. But then I gotta say that owning a high mileage vehicle, what's different about this one? Mine's got 230 on it, 230,000, and engine transmission got 50,000 on it. And then it's a Jasper engine and transmission in there. So what else I'm gonna say is you know, as much as a lot of people are wanting to go ahead and buy like used vehicles, what I really gotta say, what I like about them, I agree with you on this because one, they look good. Secondly, they don't have as much headache to them compared to these newer ones. The thing about the newer ones, they produce more power, more fuel efficient. But the things I really just do not like or would say about the newer trucks that's actually all that great, it's like Chevy went ahead and they put a 4 cylinder and they go ahead and turbocharge it off for a half ton. But there's something I really gotta point out and say about that. If you're gonna have a 4 cylinder for a truck, you really gotta look at the things that are not really good for the 4 cylinder truck. When it's come to towing, it's not gonna do that good. Meaning by when it tows, you're probably gonna kill your gas mileage. Meaning by it won't be too good compared to hauling either. When you want to run bigger tires, what else is kind of bad about it? About your tires, when it comes to pulling weight or a 5 cylinder, it may not pull weight as good. A V6 or V8 will pull weight better, but the reason why I'm saying that because they have more power, and you really need good power for a truck because you don't want a crappy truck. You don't want the truck to just been cheaped out and stuff. But the things you really gotta look at when you're owning a truck or SUV or car, cars, they ride a little bit different. I only owned one car, but when I've owned trucks and stuff, I really gotta tell you something about trucks and SUVs. Every time you run over a bump, at least you ain't gotta worry about your rear end. Half as bad, but then what else I'm gonna really say. That's not really one of the good things about the newer ones. And I really just say everybody doesn't like the front ends on them. And I really gotta ask. It's just the Silverado. I felt like it's not that great. The new Dodge Ram they're talking about coming out, the fifth generation, the fifth gen, you could say. I don't like them because the headlights are starting to get kind of weird. But then they come out with a lot of these different body styles and stuff, and I kind of just say you don't really see trucks with wing glasses anymore. And that's the thing I like about the older trucks. You have them because in case your power window doesn't work, you have wing glasses or smoker windows, or you could say the like the vent vent glass and all them. But it's just I mean that's the biggest thing I liked about my F-150 I had. But what I say about it was good. and what about was bad. You know, the older engines, like when they get high mileage on them, you could tear them down and rebuild them. But some of these newer ones, a lot of these newer ones now, you can't really tear them down and rebuild them. But what I'm really saying by that, like increased horsepower, you can't really do the same thing like you used to be able to do. And what else is kind of different by this stuff is, it's all this computer garbage in them. These newer ones, but the older ones don't use so much computer. It'll kill your engine, man. You know, these older engines like the 302 push rod engines, you could be able to put bigger pistons in it and increase horsepower. But then when you put different pistons in it, it's not really going to be good on gas. But then what's so incredible for a stock engine now is that you have for V6 EcoBoost like 450 horse, but back in the 90s, it's like you only had about like 290 horse for a V8. Some V8s only had like 105, not 105, but that was probably in the 60s, I think. Something like that, but four cylinders only had like probably 90 horsepower back then, or probably 105. And being though it's like the V8s, V6s probably had like 200 something in them, or probably 100 and something. But there is something else I'm going to really point out and say. About the newer ones, as much as they're coming to, you gotta take your stuff to the dealership, I feel like, just for a lot of stuff you gotta take back at the dealership to get worked on. And what I say it's stupid about the newer stuff is that batteries, you can't really get to them hardly anymore. You gotta take it to the dealership, and I think that is freaking ridiculous. I think it's stupid. Why you have to have a battery right somewhere where you can't get to in case of emergency? Meaning by you're stuck on the side of the road, or either for a battery, you have to go ahead and disconnect it in case of emergency. You can't even really get to them things. You gotta have certain kinds of tools just to work on this stuff. But what I mean by certain kind of tools, hear what I'm saying by this. Have these tools can cost $300 some dollars. If you had spent $300 for one freaking tool, I would soon just say I'd get rid of it, because it's not worth having to spend so much for one stupid tool. And a lot of people will be out there and say, buy a newer one. But I kind of mentioned at the end of the day, it's like the newer stuff, at least you don't have to spend like a lot of money like nickel and diamond stuff. That's what's good about the newer stuff. But then at least you don't have to do as much repairs on them, or a late model or something. But then these older ones, you're probably going to spend like a good amount of money to keep that thing running. But to me, the reason why I stay with the older stuff, it's good on insurance, it's cheaper on insurance, that's a fact. But at least you don't have all this computer BS in them. Meaning by, you don't have a lot of, like, you don't have satellite radio. The satellite radio, if you don't know about that, that stuff can cost money. And they have a lot more different stuff in them. But you guys, I'm going to say, like and comment, subscribe if you guys are new. But it's kind of hard video to make. And I don't want to be talking about the same old stuff. But this is kind of talking about the experience I've kind of had. So, any other questions, follow me on Instagram and send a message. Alright, peace.